about the VAT. Let's not get into the excise duty first, the income and that 3% of the housing scheme. This VAT and the, of course, VAT and the excise duty, those are the indirect taxes.
Yep.
Kenyans are already feeling the effect of the prices of basic commodities. With this, life is going to be expensive than it is right now. Yet, the government, when it came in, and even during campaigns, it kept on saying, the hustlers government will ensure the life of a common mwananchi comes down in terms of cost of basic commodities. But this is not what you're going to see.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brenda. I think I will start by exactly what you said. The fact that first and foremost, this VAT has not been raised to 18% is a clear indication of the fact that the Kenya Kwanza administration does not want to increase the cost of living unduly. And if you are even to be practical about the price of unga, it has significantly, come down, from a high of 230, 250% shillings to 160 as we speak. And it's bound to go down because of, obviously, for even natural factors, we have abundant rainfall. And the way that the Kenya Kwanza administration decided to, or actually President William Ruto in particular, being his background being in agriculture, ensuring that we subsidize production rather than consumption. So the effects were painful, but then the reduction of the cost of fertilizer has gone down. You even saw him actually launching, the manufacture, efforts towards the manufacturing of local fertilizer. But also having said that, the VAT being 16%, the other thing that you can see being proposed in this bill is to ensure that the refunds, of VAT, if you have any, issue, first and foremost, it can be offset to another, based on your other company, because there has been some corruption around the VAT, so that you increase the collection of this amount of money. And let us not lose focus. Why are these tax revenue-raising measures being proposed? The aim of these revenue-raising measures is first to increase the tax base, and you can see clearly that is very, very well intentional. But also, it is toward self-sustainability. Remember, we had a clarion call, kulipa ushuru ni kujitosheleza. That is very, very important. Rather than getting conditionalities from those people who are lending us money, like now IMF is giving us a credit facility of about 55 billion. But the conditions they are giving, for example, is for to privatize Kenya Power, to privatize Kenya Airways. But if we had our own money, and we have been there before, under President Mwai Kibaki, we were financing up to 93% of our budget from local revenue. And so therefore, it cannot be lost to Kenyans to say that indeed there is need to find ways in which then we cushion our economy, from external shocks, and having local money that then can finance our own.
But then why is the government looking at the indirect consumption? And indirect consumption, I'm talking about the VAT tax and the excise duty. Why can't they look at other revenues or other avenues for collecting this tax?
I think there is also the issue of, for example, importation. I don't think it's just that, it's just VAT and excise duty. There are also, for example, now, when you import things from, whatever country, they used to charge per CBM. But now they are charging a cubic meter, but now they're charging per item, so that then people do not hide. Like if you are to import gold necklaces, Brenda, the CBM for gold necklaces cannot be the same like importing a full sofa set. So that kind of thing. So there are new ways and innovative ways, and also sealing, loopholes. And KRA, under the leadership of Engineer Anthony Mwaura, they are doing a very good job in ensuring like this kind of wastages are actually sealed. Right. For example, even our tax exemption outlay, it was up to 615 billion Kenya shillings. They are tightening that up so that then you don't exempt people purely, but also you can see also you are talking about the cost of living. You maybe, I don't know, and it's good I say it at this point. Now LPG, so that we protect our forests and what have you, it is now VAT exempt, for example. It is not going to be charged the railway levy, That way then you are going to reduce the cost of of even, you know, that gas, and that means then you are also
Right.
trying to relieve the households of such. You are also, for example, there is also exemption. There is also very serious, taxation on imported furniture, so that the local, manufacturer of furniture can increase productivity, and also fish. Imported fish now is going to cost more. So it's not just one way. We have to look at this, because sometimes when you're looking at the finance bill, it's good to, it's very easy to demonize that, and it's easy, as my brother,
gentlemen, it's not like I'm here.
Minority to shoot from the hip, because that is easy to do it from the government.
We're not here to demonize the finance bill. We're just here to break it down to Kenyans, like what they need to expect, because here we're trying to be neutral. We're not supporting Azimio, we're not supporting Kenya Kwanza. We're trying to break it down, for Kenyans to understand what this bill, entails, and the impact that it will have on the economy.
Brenda, allow me to make a comment on the 16% VAT on fuel. Considering my brother has talked about the exemption on LPG gas, the Kenya Kwanza administration told us that they do not want to subsidize consumption. They will be subsidizing production. Now, LPG gas is purely consumption, and that has been exempted completely from VAT. Now, petroleum products are actually an input for production, because even in the generation of electricity, in transportation of goods, in the operation of machines in factories, that is a production too. It is being charged at the rate of 16%. Automatically, what will happen is that the cost of everything will go up. Every single item is transported or produced. There's an element of petroleum to be used in that process. So everything goes up. Now, how do you tax people? By ensuring the first thing you do is that you make everything expensive, and at the same time you still want to go into the pockets of the workers and take some more money from them, when you immediately, by just increasing the cost of fuel, you've already changed the economic environment of the country. So I think we have to be honest with each other. I think the part of the 16% on VAT on petroleum products, that for me was in fact the biggest blunder that they made at the beginning.
Right, so we wait and see whether the MPs who say that they're the voices of the people on the ground will save Kenyans.
We are already saying no.
Yeah, but also,
let's move on, gentlemen.
Before
let's move on to the next question.
Before I move on, Brenda.
Yes.
I think it's also not fair for us to make it look like VAT is a creature. 16% VAT is a creature of the Kenya Kwanza administration. That has always been the case. What happened is that it had been reduced during the COVID times.
Yes.
Now it is just been reinstated. So let us not try to make it look like it's a new tax.
I think how Kenyans are looking at it. I think how Kenyans are looking at it is, personally, you've been given a gift here. You've stayed with it for years and years. Then later on, I tell you, give me back. That is how Kenyans are looking at it. Like, we're used to this 8%. Then now, add now the 8% was supposed to be implemented, and now it was not implemented. Bring it back to 16. And
there was a reason why,
there was
Brenda,
no VAT on fuel.
There's a reason why it was done at that point in time.
Yes.
That was for COVID-19.
Exactly.
Now that time is over, and honestly, we are not able to finance the budget. Let's not lie to one another.
Right.
That's the truth.
Incidentally, the VAT on fuel was 0. So the fight we had was actually to even charge VAT at 8%. That was a fight. Now it's going up to 16%.
Right.
Yes.
So now we've looked at the VAT, we've looked at the excise duty. When we're talking about the mobile money transfer, moving from 12% to 15%, and the reduced bank transfer from 20% to 13%. Of course, just as I said earlier on, this means that Kenya will be losing on one hand and gaining on the other hand. Now, let's look at this income tax. Additional tax in the income tax that will see Kenyans earning 500,000 pay a tax of 35% when everybody else is paying 30%. Just before you respond to that, Honorable Maura, let me bring in Bui here. And this is something that the opposition leader, Raila Odinga, has strongly opposed.
Brenda, you must look at it from this perspective. Even if someone is earning $500,000, even if they're earning $1 million, they have an employer. And obviously the employer is the boss. Now, if you are working in a private company, your boss who owns that company, when he makes profit, he will only be charged at the rate of 30%. But you who works for him are being charged at the rate of 35%. How unfair can we be? How can you tax workers more than you're taxing businesses? So for me, I think the 35% on people who earn more than $500,000, I think that was unfair.
So would you propose that businesses pay more
It
than...
would have, I mean, if
because
you
already
must...
because already the turnover, the business...
you see,
the
Brenda,
business turnover tax has also been raised from 1% to 3%.
I am actually against increasing any taxes.
Okay.
I'm totally against increasing any taxes. But I'm just saying that even if you are to increase, because now the highest percentage tax is a 35% on income of employees. And yet their own employers and the bosses who are making billions and billions are only paying 30%. Isn't that a bit unfair? So I think that's why you can see that employees, the whole country are up in arms, because it's not just the pay as you earn. I mean, they've hit us with recently NSSF contributions have gone up 540% from 200 shillings to 1,080. And employers also have to chip in a similar amount. That's already hitting at the same pocket. And then look at the introduction, and you say, I think you will discuss this also, the housing fund, which is also going again into the same payslip.
We will actually get into that housing scheme, because that is why we need to set the record straight from what the politicians have been saying outside there to what is on the paper.
But I just want to point out that Kenyans whose salaries have not increased for I don't know how many years are suddenly having to pay so much more from the same payslip, and yet the cost of living has gone up. In fact, I think a research was done the other day, and they are saying the value of 1,000 shillings about a year or two ago is now about 540 shillings. So that means our value in our cost of living is too high. And so anything you do to touch anyone's pocket is unfortunate. And let me tell you, Brenda, maybe you did notice, it's also there that even the money that you are supposed to be paid, for example, if you are sent by KTN to the US to go do a story there, you know they give you per diem. That will cater for your transport when you're there, your accommodation and your meals. This administration is proposing to even tax that.
How come I didn't see that?
It's there.
I'll look at it. But just before I get your response, there are those business pundits who argue that at this point, this is where we will see unity amongst members of parliament, this issue of the income tax. You know, if you earn 500,000 plus, you're taxed 35%. Like, this is where we will see solidarity together. Let's oppose this.
We'll come together on all of them.
On all of them?
On all of them.
Do you think they'll come together on all of them?
It will be very selfish, Brenda, for us to go and fight the 35% and allow all these others that are hurting the employees and the employers. In fact, the things that are hurting the hustlers. So we will not allow those. We will fight together to defend them.
All right. So do you think it's fair for the government to overtax people, Kenyans earning above 500,000?
Yeah, I think, Brenda, the first and foremost, I want to disabuse the notion that that employers will be paying much less than an individual employee, because an employer will also be, as you rightfully put it, having to pay VAT, as is the case. Excess duty has to be remitted.
The turnover tax.
Yeah, and also the housing levy, as we come to it, 3% equivalent of contribution to by the member. Yes. By the employee, and also the fact that really look at the income distribution. You remember there was a time where if you had 1 million shillings in the account, you need to declare where you got the money from. 3/4 of Kenyans earn 50,000 shillings and below. 3/4. For you to be in the top 1% of Kenya, the richest people that is, you have to have a net worth of about 2.2 million. So Kenya is really a highly unequal society. And so therefore, the people who earn 500,000 shillings and above are negligible, by the way. That is the truth. They are very few and far in between. So for them to be charged, there will be your members of parliament, there will be your ministers, there will be those people who are the CEOs of big major corporations who are unlikely to feel the pinch as such. Because if you are to take, say somebody who is earning 1 million shillings like a member of parliament, and you take 5% more, how much does that
I thought Honorable we look at you like a million.
and so therefore, really, personally, I don't even think if that money was to collect by government would amount to much, really.
But then you know, I did that calculation, and if you're earning 500,000 shillings, and you have your fellow, okay, assume if my boss is earning 500,000 shillings, then I am earning. This is just an example. It's not for the blogs to start saying that is what I earn. Then I'm earning about maybe 96,000 shillings. If my boss is taxed 35% of these 500,000 shillings, what I am taxed at 30% will all be at the same level. So at the end of the day, there won't be that difference.
Big difference.
Yes. It will just be by thousands or by hundreds. But we'll still be, both of us will still be falling under the 300 and something thousand.
Incidentally, you can be earning more.
And so therefore, if that is the case, even if the difference is 1,000 bob, that is now individual, relational. But then it translates to so many other thousands of people, and that is money to government to help Kenyans get a good public service delivery.
But do you think, my question is, do you think it is right for the government to tax this? Let me just put it as a personal question. Assume you're earning, you as a CS earning more than 500,000 shillings. Would you want to be taxed 35%?
I don't mind, by the way. Personally, I don't mind, because it is just a contribution towards the same kitty. And by the way, if, for example, you're a public servant, this money that you are being taxed is the same one that comes to pay you the next pay. So definitely, for me personally, I don't have a problem with it. What then, of course, Kenyans would be saying is that for the monies that we pay, we need better service delivery. And that, I think, is